And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get loose with your stylish, humorous, down-to-earth host, Betty LaMarr.
Well, good morning, and again, thanks for watching and listening to Eye on Memphis. Eye on Memphis, we're live in the studios. A very special guest this morning, Ms. Michelle Whitlock. Now, let me tell you about Michelle Whitlock. Michelle wrote this wonderful book. I'd like to say bestseller, How I Lost My Uterus and Found My Voice. So today we are talking about cervical cancer, gynecologic cancers, because there's a lot of myths and misconceptions out there about HPV. And because I have one of the masters with me this morning, she's going to explain and break down these myths and misconceptions, ladies, so that we can share our experience if we're living with cervical cancer to other women, to little girls, so they can hopefully avoid having to deal with this. So we'll be right back after this break again with my very special guest, my girl, Michelle Whitlock, How I Lost My Uterus and Found My Voice. You're listening to the Eye on Memphis show.
Eye on Memphis is sponsored by AM Diabetes and Endocrinology and Insulin Pump Center, the leading edge in diabetes care and technology.
First off, thank you for having me and helping to educate the general public about cervical cancer and HPV. So I am a 2-time cervical cancer survivor, diagnosed at 26 with a reoccurrence at 29. And that's really what led me to my passion to educate women about early detection and ways that you can protect yourself and your loved ones, and ultimately led me to switch careers. And today I'm blessed to work for a medical device company that works both in the cervical cancer and breast cancer space.
Okay, good. I guess because of your experience, I guess both of our lives sort of kind of, because you never know when the universe, God, whatever we want to call it, it's almost like use a situation to send us in a different direction. Because I was busy interviewing entertainers.
Yeah.
Blair Underwood, James Brown, anybody that was an entertainer. If you ever Golden Globe Award winner, I had you in front of me. But medical now, it's like, I don't even care about that anymore. But let me ask you this, Michelle. What we're going to do, we're going to go back to the beginning. When you was first, even before you was diagnosed, how did you know something was going on with your body to take you to the doctor in the first place?
Yeah, it's a great question. So often cervical cancer doesn't have any early warning signs. And if there are, sometimes they're not obvious. So for me, I was in my early 20s. I had never missed a pap test. I started having a pap when I was 16. And I just felt tired all the time. And every month I felt like things just weren't right downstairs. And as a lot of us know, women can be plagued with a yeast infection, which is just overgrowth of bacteria. I like to call it bacon bread. And so once a month, I just felt like I was at the gynecologist saying something just didn't feel right.
Something is baking here.
Something is baking here. Like, this is not right. And initially, it was little things like it could have just been a bacteria infection, or it could have been an overgrowth of yeast. Nothing that is unusual for a woman to experience. And after a little while, she finally said, I feel like this is an indication that something's wrong with your immune system. Like, I want to take another look, like something else is going on.
Oh. Okay, so first, let's go back a little bit so people can understand. What is HPV? Because all this originates from the HPV infection. What is HPV?
Yeah, so HPV is the most common sexually transmitted infection today, and it is a group of viruses, and the truth is there's hundreds of strains of HPV. There is a handful that affect the genital tracts, and of those, each one of those strains, while they're a family of viruses, they're all different. So some are carcinogenic, meaning they cause cancer, and others are not. They cause maybe genital warts. And often, most of the time, men or women infected with an HPV virus do not know they're infected. They don't have any visible symptoms. And usually the body fights HPV like the common cold and eradicates the virus. Really where it becomes a problem is when the body it has an inability, the immune system does not fight off the virus, and you end up with a persistent infection of HPV of one of the strains that are carcinogenic. Is one of the greatest myths out there is, I personally hate the fact that we call it a sexually transmitted infection, because it really causes this negative stigma, which prevents people from openly talking about HPV and ways to protect themselves. Because the reality of it is, it could be sexual contact, not intercourse, contact. Right. So skin to skin, touching, not penetration or penetration. And it takes one time with or without a condom, because a condom doesn't cover all male genitalia.
That's right.
And so there's still skin that touches. So, it really is about human contact, skin to skin, one time. So a woman could say, or man could save themselves till marriage, only have sexual contact with their marital partner. And if their partner had had any sexual experience, even just heavy petting, they could have the HPV virus, and a female could be infected and therefore develop cervical cancer. Okay. And so I want people to understand that we need to talk about it as a virus and not sex, not connected to sex.
Don't forget the book, Michelle Whitlock, How I Lost My Uterus and Found My Voice, because she most certainly found a voice. Whether she would have this voice had she not lost her uterus is something we'll never know. But it's very good, and it's a very inspirational book, and it's very fun, and you'll get a lot out of it. Do not live in silence with cervical cancer. Help yourself, and you'll help others.